Okay, today we're talking about angle addition, and the thing that we learned with segment addition, where we said part plus part equals whole, that applies to angle addition as well. So if our whole or our big angle is this blue one, and one of our little angles is that green one, and our other little angle is that yellow one, the yellow plus the green would be equal to the blue. So if we use our letters to name the angles, we could say if P is in the interior or the inside of angle RST, RST is our big blue one. Let me highlight this blue so you can see that a little bit better. So if P is on the inside of that angle, then the measure of angle RSP, which is our little yellow one, plus the measure of angle PST, which is our green one, would be equal to the whole one. And let's go ahead and name that whole angle. We could call that blue angle, or if we measured it, it would be the measure of angle point R to point S to point T, so we could call that RST. Okay, so that's the big idea, and let's just see how it works in some examples. Before we do that, though, we just talked about this angle addition postulate, so that's one of our main pieces here is this angle addition postulate. That's what we just talked about. Next thing just to make a note of is what it means to be a congruent angle. These two angles here, and you see these little arcs here, are congruent angles. So a congruent angle is just two angles that have the same measure. Those arcs will be really important. This is our way to mark that this angle is exactly the same size as that angle when you see those arcs. So that just means they are the same. Okay, so we talked about angle addition postulate, congruent angles. Let's just do an example with congruent angles. You can see in this first example that we've got those two arcs and they match with two arcs on this other angle. So that means those two are congruent. They have the same measure. So if one has a measure of 152, the other must have a measure of angle 152. So x is equal to 152 degrees. So those ones are pretty easy. Next one we're going on to is angle addition, and it wants us to find the measure of angle DAB. We'll start by highlighting DAB. So we'd start at D, go to A, and out to B. So DAB is our whole angle, or the big angle, and they've given us that the two pieces, or two parts, the green thing is 30 degrees, the yellow thing is 20 degrees. So here we would want to add the two. We've been given the two little angles, so 30 and 20. And when we add those two together, we will get the measure of the big angle. So we could highlight our yellow one was 30, or yellow was 20, green was 30. When we add those two together, we would get the measure. 30 plus 20 is in fact 50. Okay, so the measure of the blue angle would be 50 degrees. And that is all we would do. Okay, so we've completed 1 and 2. Let's go to number 3. Okay, so again, we're going to start by highlighting. It's just difficult to see the angle that they're talking about, especially when you're first doing this. So let's start with DEU. So we'd go from D to E to U, and it says the measure of that angle is 75 degrees. All right, next it says that DEF, so from D to E to F, so that is our big angle in this case, and we know that that big angle is 175 degrees. The thing that we want to find is UEF, or this pink angle. So I'm going to call that one X, our unknown. So here, instead of adding, we would be subtracting. We know that one of our little angles plus the other little angle would be equal to the big angle. So if we set this up as an equation, you can see the next thing we'd want to do is subtract that 75 from each side. Those would cancel. And we'd be saying that our unknown, or the angle that we wanted to find, was 100 degrees. So the measure of angle UEF is 100 degrees, and we would stop. So we had two examples. Example number 2 was the time where we added them together. And example number 3 was the time where we subtracted. And let's see what we get on number 4 if we are adding or subtracting. So again, we're starting with highlighting. UED is 122. The measure of angle FEU is 32 degrees. So let's do yellow on this one. F to E to U is 32 degrees. I think that yellow might be too hard to see. We'll go with red. 32 degrees. And we want to know what is the measure of angle FED. So let's highlight that in green. So FED, this whole big thing. So here we would be adding the two pieces together. If we add a yellow plus a pink, oops, that will give us that green measure, which is the whole, or the big angle. So 32 degrees plus 122 degrees is equal to, if we add those two together, 32 plus 122 would give us 154 degrees. So the measure of angle FED is 154. Okay, so that's like level 1 of angle addition. We want to move up to the next level, which would be including algebra in these kinds of equations. So just like we did with segment addition, we're going to do part plus part is equal to the whole, or little angle plus little angle is equal to the big. Okay, so let's start. The nice thing is they've given us our two little angles. So one of them is 2x minus 2. This pink thing is 3x plus 7. And then they tell us that the measure of PQR is 45. So the big angle, this entire thing, is 145. And they want us to solve for x, and then next to find the measure of an angle. So let's start. Step number 1, solving for x. Okay, so remember little angle. One of our little angles is 2x minus 2 plus our other little angle. So the pink thing is 3x plus 7. Let's go ahead and highlight that. So we have, actually I'm not going to highlight this, but green thing plus pink thing is equal to the blue thing, which is 145. Okay, so now we're to the algebra, and when we are starting to think how to solve this equation, we want to look and see if on either side of the equation we have like terms. So we're thinking about what is the like term we could combine with that 2x, and in this case it's a positive 3x. So when we combine 2x's plus 3x's, we would have a total of 5x's. And then if we're doing a negative 2 plus 7, it'll give us a positive 5 is equal to 145. Okay, so now our goal is to eliminate this positive 5, and we can do that by doing the opposite. So we had a positive 5, and we're subtracting 5 from each side. Those 5s eliminate. So we'd have 5x is equal to 140. Then we would divide each side by 5. And x would be equal to 28. Okay, so we just did step 1, we solved for x. Put a little check mark through that. Second step is to find the measure, find the measure of angle SQR. That's our second step here. Okay, SQR is this green angle. If we come from S to Q out to R, that is the green thing. And the green thing, the measure of angle SQR is 2x minus 2. So all we are going to do is substitute in place of that x. We are going to write what x is equal to, which is 28. Okay, so we'd have 56 minus 2. So the measure of that angle would be 54 degrees. Okay, so we solved for x, and then we found the measure of angle SQR by substituting x into that expression. All right, let's try it again. So UVW, this big thing, is equal to, it tells us 33x plus 5. So we did that piece. Next thing it says is that UVJ is 105. This purple angle is 105 degrees, slightly bigger than 90. And then it says that JVW, this, I wanted yellow, the yellow angle JVW is equal to 14x minus 5. So we want to say little angle. And first step is to solve for x. Okay, so we want to say little angle, 14x minus 5, plus the other little angle, which is 105, is equal to, I think I'm going to run out of room. I'll just write this all a little bit smaller. Let's try that again. Okay, so little angle, 14x minus 5, plus my other little angle, 105, is equal to my big angle, which is 33x plus 5. Okay, so we have some like terms on this left side of the equation. We have a negative 5 and a positive 105. So when we combine those two, we would have 14x plus 100 is equal to 33x plus 5. And now we've got to eliminate something on one side of the equation. If we want to keep our x's positive, we would subtract the smaller x term. Let's go ahead and see what happens. We eliminated the 14x, that turns to 0. So we have 100 is equal to 19x plus 5. Now we want to eliminate this positive 5, and we could do that by doing the opposite. So 95 is equal to 19x, and then final step would be to divide each side by 19. So x would be equal to 5. Okay, so we just did step 1, we found x. Next thing we need to do, it wants us to find the measure of angle UVW. So step 2, let's do over here. It says the measure of angle UVW. That was this right here. UVW is equal to 33x plus 5. We're going to substitute the value that we just found for x. So we know that x is equal to 5. We're going to substitute it in there. So 33 times 5 would give us 165. plus another 5, this would be 170 degrees. And we are done with this one. Okay, so that is everything for angle addition. Let's go on to angle bisectors. So we've talked about bisectors, a little bit. Bisector is just something that cuts something else in half. So here it says that EB is going to bisect angle ABD. So let's highlight angle ABD. That ray is slicing right through the middle and cutting it into 2 congruent pieces. And we could show that by putting in those 2 matching swooshes. They've each got 1 arc, and so the measure must be the same. Let's pretend that the measure of this whole green angle is 60 degrees. I haven't measured it, but maybe it's around 60 degrees. If it is, each of those would be exactly 30 degrees. A bisector means it's being cut exactly in the middle. Okay, so let's try some problems with bisectors. This one says that AB is a bisector, and what it's bisecting or cutting in half is that green angle. So anytime we have a bisector, we want to get in the habit of adding those arcs to show we've got 2 congruent angles. And if 2 things are congruent, what we can do when we're setting up an equation is just say that that 33, and maybe I'll put that on the other side. The 33 is just equal to 4x plus 1. It wouldn't be wrong to start with the 33 on the left side, but this will just make it a little bit easier. Okay, so now we're just solving that equation. We could do that by subtracting 1 from each side. Those 1's eliminate, and we would have 4x is equal to 32. Next step would be to divide by 4. So x would be equal to 8. And that's all they want. So we can stop there. We're not substituting anything back in. If we wanted to check our work, we could substitute that 8 back in for x, and we should get 33. Okay, next one. Again, we've got an angle bisector. So it says that angle ABC is being bisected by ray BD. So that tells us that these 2 pieces are exactly the same. So because this one is 5x minus 22, I'm just going to go ahead and write in that this one also must be 5x minus 22. They're exactly the same, they're twins. So final thing it tells us is that angle ABC is 146 degrees. So this big angle is equal to 146. And now we just figured out a way to say little piece, little angle, this little angle plus this little angle is equal to the whole big angle. So we're going to set up an equation that says little plus little is equal to the big or the whole. We would want to combine our like terms. So we have positive 5x and positive 5x. That gives us 10x. Then we've got a negative 22 and a negative 22. That would give us negative 44. And we can go ahead and solve the equation. So our goal is to eliminate that negative 44. So we want to do the opposite. Oops, not adding 144, just 44. 10x, those eliminated, is equal to 190. When we divide each side by 10, we get x is equal to 19. That is all